Hi, I'm with my friend Avi Rotman once again, and we're going to talk about perpetual war and the alternatives and what is the effect on Israel of perpetual war. They've been fighting Hamas for 40 years, off and on, and the people are tired. The international community is tired. So let's ask Avi what he thinks the war's toll is having on Israel. Avi?
Hey Joyce, thank you for having me once more. I think we can start by describing that there is few approach in Israel in regard of the perpetual war. While the Israeli right that also enjoys their political position is controlling the parliament, and of course the government is pushing to continue the war against Hamas, arguing that this war is an existential one and we have to continue until Hamas is defeated. So in a sense, there is not even a time frame for the war as far as their regard. Well, there is more and more people in Israel that are adopting the position that the war needs to end. Some of them hold the position that the war needs to end only in order to bring the hostages, but they are willing to stop it. While the third group argued that the war needs to end because there are better and other ways to continue the struggle against Hamas, and the war as an act of military means needs to end and clear way to diplomatic solutions.
Now, who do you think would be a better broker for the Israeli government? Qatar, who clearly has been funding Hamas, or Saudi Arabia, or really which country would want to step in and be the honest broker?
There is a trickiness in the question because what is better to Israel could be read in two different manner. One is what's good to Israel as a state and whole, and second is what is better for the Israeli government. Qatar is not only the main funder of Hamas in the last decade or so, it's also share a common ideology as part of the Muslim Brotherhood concept, which call for political Islam. So Qatar is close to Hamas. Henceforth, they have access. Hamas political leadership sits in Doha. Henceforth, Qatar has a lot of advantages that they have relatively close contact with Hamas, which make the negotiation more efficient. On the other hand, you have Egypt. Egypt is an ideological rival of the Muslim Brotherhood. They see it as their enemy. It's an organization considered a terror organization in Egypt. But Egypt has a tremendous advantage because it shares a border with Gaza. And in any diplomatic arrangement that will follow the ending of the war, Egypt will have a role. The shell border also means that Egypt has relatively good intel, has connection with people in Gaza compared to Qatar that have connection with people that sits in Doha. Egypt is also a very, very strong player. And if you look at it from a bird eye, Egypt seems to be a preferable broker to Israel because we share bigger interests. Egypt has more to offer in a sense of the shell border. And also, of course, Israel and Egypt has a peace agreement that is still standing after a very, very bloody war in the last year and a half, which the Egyptian, to say the least, are taking the Palestinian side. They have a lot of criticism towards Israel.
They've also come up with their own peace proposal that seems to
Correct.
be logical.
Correct. First of all, also Egypt and also Qatar, through over a year of different negotiation, has put on the table few offers that describe different scenarios. The leading offer that it seems that everyone except Israel and Hamas will be happy to see is known as the Egyptian offer that Egypt was promoting. And it's very, to say simply, is calling for an establishment of a Palestinian technocratic government in Gaza Strip that will assert the civilian responsibility over the population. They will enjoy the support of the moderate Arab countries, so Egypt physically with the border, but mainly Saudi and the Emirati financially. And they will carry the load of paying for the rebuilding of Gaza. Hamas will step aside from being a governmental force in Gaza Strip. It still leaves few questions on the table. One is what's to be with Hamas weapon. Is it going to be disarmed as Israel requests, or they will be allowed to keep their weapon as Hamas demand? And second, Israel wants that the leadership of Hamas, we're talking about few hundreds of people from middle rank officer to political leader, still in Gaza Strip to be deported, while Hamas refuse. Other than that, the Egyptian offer is the base that everybody is talking about.
Now, do you think with our government in America, Trump did not visit Israel, and however, he's also remaining silent on whatever Bibi does. How does the population relate to that?
He would be leaning towards ending it as Israel wants, but he first of all wants to end, and it seems that he's also flirting or aiming towards the Egyptian offer. It seems to him logic. Still remain the question of demilitarizing Gaza Strip and the exile, and we're not sure where Trump stands in that regard. And that's important because if Israel will insist on those points, the question if Trump will back us until Hamas will fall, which could be months, if not over a year or two. So very, very long fighting. We're not sure how Trump played. But I think interestingly is to shed a light of what Israeli thinks. So what you and I can agree easily that the Egyptian offer sounds really, really good or base for a future deal. And not everybody in Israel thinks so, and especially not the Israeli government.
Right. I find that troubling when I hear that Yair Lapid, who I thought was a moderate, calling Yair Golan, who we know is a moderate and on the left and part of the new democratic movement, a radical.
The fact that the leader of the Israeli center is lashing on the rising leader of the Israeli left indicates that Lapid is stressed from Golan. And he needs to separate himself from him because Yair Golan is attracting more and more voters, and they're coming mainly from Lapid.
Many nations in the EU are beginning to condemn what's happening in Gaza. I don't see them coming in for a solution, but condemnation is there.
Correct. By the way, it could affect in many direction or fields. You asked in the beginning of our meeting about the cost of perpetual war. So, for instance, airline companies, a lot of them are still not flying to Israel, and one of the reasons they are not renewing their flight is the continuation of the war. Today, Ryanair, one of the largest European company, low cost, has addressed the subject that their patience towards Israel is running out in a hint that maybe they will not renew their flight to Israel at all. And Israel will move towards similar situation to Russia, which most of the airline companies are not flying, and it's isolated. Academic research, cultural exchange. If you're an Israeli artist today, to be able to be invited to present outside of Israel, it's a slim opportunity.
So
also, Israeli academia that try to attract a research budget, that's also dropping. High-tech investments, and we can go on and on. Sports event, it was announced today that the European Sports Association will consider if to ban Israel from participating next year. So there will be a cost.
there is a large cost to bear because Israel will be a rogue organization without the support of the international community, and the tourism, the exchange of ideas that you get with everyone else, uh, all of your endeavors will be limited, and so that the quality of life, because of perpetual war, will decrease for everyone, except for the fanatics who see no way out because there's a refusal for compromise.
Right. So there is a good chance, and it seems that that's what's going to happen. Trump will not force anything out of Israel, but he also won't help us in support. And while the White House won't pressure us, the pressure will come from the economy, the tourism, as you describe, especially coming from the European. The European is Israel's biggest trade partner. It's our closest cultural exchange. This is where we play our sports and etc. And they are very, very angry at Israel. So Trump won't protect us from what's coming from them. Second, the more the price will rise of what Israel is paying for this perpetual war, there is a better chance that center voters won't be willing to pay that price anymore because they are not radical and they will probably not adopt the right-wing position. Henceforth, as the personal price that they are paying will increase, they might adopt a more left-leaning approach. And third, which I think is very, very important and give some sense of optimism, the conversation we just had is the most burning conversation in Israel. So people talking about it, the cafes, it's all over the media, and not only in Haaretz, the left-leaning newspaper in Israel. So there is a wide open public debate on it, and people have to pick sides.
A person who really cares about the seriousness of your attempt to wage all-out war might surrender, but Hamas is not surrendering right away. So they're
Right.
prepared to fight this battle as long as it takes. It takes a very strong diplomat to say, okay, this strategy may not work, and I'm going to do something else because it's better for my people in the long run. Do you think Netanyahu has the ability to do this at this time?
Netanyahu will change his way only if he thinks it will benefit him politically. So no, I don't expect any immediate change from Netanyahu. He will tactically change position, but strategically he will not change nothing. He needs the far right in order to solidify his coalition. It's not only the far right party, there is also far right element inside his own party. Henceforth, I think that Netanyahu already made his decision. He is going to push the war as far as he can. And as for Hamas, you ask also about them, because we can reverse the question and ask it for the leadership of Hamas. It seems to me that both the radical right in Israel, the far right in Israel, and the far right of the Palestinian in Hamas share an interest of perpetuating the war. Because as long as Israel is engaging in war against Hamas, Hamas can frame it to the Palestinian people that they have to continue fight. They're not allowed to surrender because they're fighting the battle of the Palestinian people for freedom, and Hamas offered them the path of the struggle. On the other hand, as long as Hamas continue to fight, the Israeli right can continue to argue that the only way to stop it is to fight them back. So they feeding one another.
Right.
Both of them has a political interest exactly to keep the perpetual war. And the solution needs to come from the moderate on both sides that want to break this cycle. Maybe it will be Yair Golan, and we could ask also who will be from the Palestinian side that will raise the flag of moderate, of compromise, of reason. And together, I think we can break the cycle and aim not only to end the war, but to try to end the conflict.
How do we get this awareness? Just through continued dialogue? How do we bring this to a head where everyone realizes it's in their best interest to stop? Because never-ending war just feeds never-ending war. And you can see all
So
of America's wars.
all wars in history ended. So we can assume that this one will end also. How long it's going to take, how many people will die along the way, and what will be the picture that will be exist in the end. I think what is lacking now is not the understanding that as time passes, more people die and suffer, but what's the image, how we vision the ending not only of the war, but also on the conflict. And I think because so many people are suffering now, we are being pushed to ask that question.
Well, good.
Maybe we still don't have the question, but answer, but the question is definitely on the table. And once you ask the question, the answer will come.
Okay, well, I think that that's as much as we can hope for, that more people are asking the question, and really all they have to look at is history to see since World War II, most of those wars have been wars that led to failed states and nothing more.
I would advise anyone who deals with this question and that the war troubles him to demand answers from our local leaders, our journalists, politicians, academia, how the conflict can end. We have to be able to imagine something. We need to demand our leader to paint us that image.
I agree. Thank you, Avi. I mean, this will be continued as long as there is war in the region. We'll continue it because the Middle East is constantly shifting. And from my perspective, I want Israel to be a player, a good player in the international arena.
I
So
completely agree. And I also believe that we can play much better than we play now.
I agree. Amen.